Mr. Walker, don't chew gum on stage, mate. Come on.
What's up, guys, and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel.
Offense against Nick. I like Nick personally. Okay, it's not a personality contest for everybody. All right, we always got to give the exclamation, okay?
So let's start this video with Bob Chicarello and his very bold statement about the mutant Nick Walker. And that is that Nick is never gonna win the Olympia title, no matter what. Now, before the Pittsburgh Pro, that seemed like a very valid claim, because none of us were sure on what to expect from the mutant, especially against a guy like Derek, and especially how he looked like at the New York Pro last year.
Nick's a fine guy. I like the kid, okay? Listen, we could use more personality in the game. Do I think Nick can ever win the Olympia? No.
And before all the people start bashing Bob for having this opinion, there was a certain scenario which Bob mentioned, and guys like Dennis James and Milo Sarcev, they both agreed to that. And that was that Nick can never win the Olympia if all these other guys, Hadi Choopan, Derek Lunsford, and Samson Dauda, they are all at their 100%. But after seeing what just happened at the Pittsburgh Pro, where we all had Nick Walker winning the show, especially after the prejudging. But we have to keep in mind, that was the case because Derek was off at this year's Pittsburgh Pro, especially in comparison to what we saw at the Arnold, Ohio earlier this year. We saw his legs were a bit down, or I'm gonna say a bit out of proportion, because maybe he was a little fuller in the upper half. But the judges still picked Derek over the mutant. So the question right now is that, will the judges and the FBB, they ever want a total freak and a mass monster to be the biggest ambassador of bodybuilding, to be representing the sport?
Because I think there's always going to be 2 or 3 guys that have better shape, better symmetry, better proportion. I don't think Nick can beat Samson. I don't think he can beat Hadi. I don't think he can, and I don't think he'd have he almost beat Derek, but he didn't.
Well, I'm gonna say not if we go by the verdict of this year's Pittsburgh Pro. But after Pittsburgh Pro, many of us do believe that Nick in fact can win the Olympia, because there is no guarantee that either one of these guys, like Derek and Samson, they can come in 100% for the Olympia. Now, Hadi Choopan, we all know, is the most consistent guy when it comes to nailing his conditioning every single time he steps on stage. But even he was not as good at the Olympia last year as he looked at the Arnold, Ohio, where he showed up at his 100%. And that is one of the major reasons he lost the Olympia to Samson Dauda last year. So I'm gonna say never. We just saw Nick Walker earn the respect of many countless fans and the entire bodybuilding community after this year's Pittsburgh Pro. And this is gonna go down as one controversial call in the entire bodybuilding history, because people are still talking about this. And 90% of the people in attendance, they had Nick winning. So what are the chances of all of these top guys, Derek, Hadi and Samson, all coming in 100% peaked at the upcoming Miss Olympia? I have to ask you guys, has that ever happened before in the entirety of bodybuilding history? We have seen that happen so many times that at the Olympia, a lot of these guys, they miss. They show up less than 100%. So Nick, I'm gonna say, has a legit shot at winning the Olympia, but with a little bit of help from the other top guys. So that big announcement by Arnold Schwarzenegger about the prize money for the Arnold Ohio next year and also for the Arnold UK, that must have bothered all these guys in that 212 class. I feel like that is the least appreciated division in the entire Pro League right now, and the less number of a total 212 shows in a season compared to Classic or even the Men's Open. That is a proof of that. So I think this announcement, that is gonna make Kon Pearson, the reigning and the 2 times Olympia champion, to seriously consider going into the Men's Open class after winning his 3rd 212 Olympia title this year. And yes, I know he's very much locked in for the 212 Olympia this year. And the man looks huge right now in the off-season phase. But at the same time, he looks very lean and in a superb condition. Now, he's the only guy in the 212 who has a lot of pressure from the media as well as from the fans to switch over into the Men's Open, because everybody out there sees he has the potential to crack a top spot in his first try, even against the big boys. The thing is, it simply isn't guaranteed that any athlete that is gonna be able to compete for another 5 years. And the price discrepancy, that is gonna be so much between the 212 and the Men's Open. that it is gonna start to look kind of silly. Now, for those of you guys who do not know how much Keone won last year, it was 50k compared to Samson Dowdle, who got $600,000. Imagine the higher-ups respond to Arnold's announcement and make the prize money upwards of $1 million, or at the very least, $850,000 for the winner of the men's open. Wouldn't that make Kon Pearson jump into the open division maybe as soon as next year? And there are rumors already circulating that Keone might do an open show after this year's Miss Olympia, which I must say is gonna be so awesome and such a treat for all of us bodybuilding fans. So Milo Sarcev just hinted that Martin-Fitzwater might be doing the upcoming Dubai Pro in the latest episode of the Menace podcast. Now, Martin himself made the announcement last year before Prague Pro that he's gonna be entering Dubai Pro this year because it was kind of expected that they're gonna up the prize money, and they did do that. But it kind of makes no sense to many of us that he would choose to skip the New York Pro, which is just a week after the Pittsburgh Pro, because there was a chance to get his redemption against a guy like Nick Walker, if in fact it was a peaking issue, but dieting for another 6 weeks to do a show in the Middle East. Now, I know the prize money there is a lot more than the New York Pro. We as fans will be so thrilled to see this matchup between Behrouz Tabani and Martin at this upcoming Dubai Pro, but still skipping the New York Pro. That only made sense if he was shutting the season down altogether and he was just focusing on the Olympia this year.
Martin and then Regan
As they should.
and Behrouz. Yeah, it's going to be a packed show.
As they should. It's gonna.
And prize money for a classic is something ridiculous, like 70,000, 80, I don't know.
So if it was just a mistimed peak for Martin and Stefan, then him and his coach, they were in an ideal case scenario to make things right in another week. And we saw how Martin was even able to improve from the prejudging to the finals at this past Pittsburgh Pro. And everyone, including the judges, they did saw that. Now, by that logic, he could have brought his A game at the New York Pro, and maybe he could have gave Nick Walker a run for his money. Now, on the other hand, I do hope that Martin is in fact doing this upcoming Dubai Pro, and I really hope that he shows up at their 100% at that show. However, I do want to point out that Martin's caption under his recent post, that kind of suggests that he's done for the season, and all he wants to do is focus on the upcoming Miss Olympia. So the former Miss Olympia Brandon Kerry, he just disappeared from the social media altogether after delivering a strong performance at his last show, which was the Arnold, Ohio this year. So he made top 4, beating multiple young guys and also William Bonac. And although Kerry hasn't been posting a lot of training or physique updates, but you better believe that he's working silently to put on some good muscle in the off-season. So does Brandon get enough credit over the crazy amount of roundness and the 3D look that he has when it comes to his upper half? So he looks very big and very bubbly right now, and he has been very conscious about keeping his waistline very small and very tight during the growing phase. Now Brandon has his own system where he takes a lot of time off from the training, from the diet, from everything in the post-contest phase. And honestly, if we look at his pro career, competing as a pro for 15 years now and counting, and not a single injury throughout his very long pro career, I have got to say one of the best and the greats of the game. So no official announcement has been made by Brandon Kerry about him doing the Masters Olympia. So I wish he would have gone for Dubai Pro, and that is a show that Brandon was interested in last year, but he did not go for that one.
What the fuck's up with the chewing gum on stage, man?
Yeah, I don't.
That's just, Mr. Walker, don't chew gum on stage, mate. Come on.
So did Nick chewing a gum on the stage last weekend at the Pittsburgh Pro that made him look unprofessional? Well, I'm gonna say it kind of did. But there is one guy, the 6 times Miss Olympia Dorian Yates, who called out Nick Walker for his conduct on the stage, calling it very unprofessional. Now, it was such a rookie mistake, or I do not know if that was deliberate. And that is why I have no idea what made Nick Walker do that, considering he's a veteran of the game. So did it play a role in judges making the decision in the favor of Derek? Well, I'm gonna say not even a little bit. That wasn't the case, because Nick did it at the prejudging, and the scorecards showed that he was leading after the prejudging.
That is a rookie move. I don't know what he was doing, but
I mean, you know, if the judges said that they marked him down from first place to second place for chewing gum on stage, I would understand that more than saying he had, you know, the other guy had a better physique, to be honest.
He was ahead of Derek by 1 point. Now the judges should 100% focus on the physiques only and judging only that. But as an athlete, you have got to minimize all the distractions that might take the judges' eyes off you or off your physique. So if Nick has listened to those comments by Dorian Yates while talking to Ron Harris, he should never do that again. So a few years back, many IFBB pros, they were extremely mindful that they should not even have beard on the stage because it can be distracting. And same was the case in terms of the tattoos. A guy like Chris Bumstead also talked about this in the initial years of his career, until he did not care and he showed up with a mustache. And the man kind of changed the game forever. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.